I'm Roy, your friendly neighborhood East Coast aviator. I've had a passion for airplanes and adventure for as long as I can remember. Join me as I work towards my private pilot license and the stories that unfold along the way, embracing the chaos, one knot at a time. Top of the day to you, my friends. Your friendly neighborhood East Coast aviator here. And today we're going to talk about something a little different. You normally will get to this topic when you get to human factors in your ground school and you're learning. But before every flight, we run through a pre-flight checklist on the airplane. We check everything, nose to tail. But here's a question. How often do we pre-flight ourselves? So the I.M.S.A.F.E checklist is one of the simplest tools in aviation. So let's walk through it because it's honestly one of the easiest to skip. And the truth is the most important part of any aircraft is the pilot inside. I know, you were going to say the most important thing is the coffee that you brought along. And that's important too, but no, the most important part is actually you. So the I.M.S.A.F.E checklist starts off with illness. Now, even a minor cold can cause big problems at altitude. Blocked sinuses, slower reactions, even just feeling off. All of it matters. And honestly, my personal rule of thumb is that if I wouldn't take a road trip feeling like this, I won't fly. I mean, your airplane doesn't care if it's just the sniffles. I can guarantee you that your decision-making will matter. And trust me, trying to clear yours at 7,000 feet with the head cold is about as fun as a root canal. Not recommended. 0 out of 10. If your eyes are blurry because you got allergies or something, anything of that nature, anything that would impede you from safely operating your aircraft. Now, next on the list is medication. Now, just because it's on the drugstore shelf does not mean it's safe to fly with, especially at altitude. If the box says it may cause drowsiness, assume it will. Altitude has a big effect on how your body handles different conditions. Now, there is a good guide on Transport Canada, and I'd imagine that the FAA has got similar great information on it. But the simple rule is if I need to Google it to see if it's safe, probably shouldn't be flying. And no, Red Bull doesn't count as medication, even if you wrote on the can that it is, and you want it to be so. It's not medication. It's not the wings it gives you. Now, stress. Now, stress is a sneaky one. And that's something that we all kind of experience at some point or another. Work deadlines, finances, life stuff, none of it magically disappears when you get into that cockpit and you get to the airport. I mean, I've had days where I was too distracted to focus, and if you have to push a flight to another day, then that's a good idea. Make sure the decision is the right one. Ensure that decision stings in the moment. Not as much explain to an inspector why you busted airspace because you were too busy thinking about your hydro bill. It's important to be in the right frame. When you're flying, you want to focus on flying. You don't want to be thinking about that stuff. Next up is alcohol. Now, in Canada, it's 12 hours bottle to throttle. Not 8. I do believe it's 8 hours in the U.S. Some of our American pilot friends, let me know in the comments if I'm correct on that or not. The rule of thumb, though, is while the car says 12 hours, the actual regulation is 0 blood alcohol. The higher you go in altitude, your body will change. Even a small amount of alcohol can have a big effect on you. Hangovers, dehydration, poor sleep, they don't care what the clock says. And my advice is if you wouldn't feel comfortable explaining your condition to Transport Canada or the FAA, don't fly. Just don't. And I like to think of it in this way. If I'm still negotiating with myself about going for that greasy breakfast, probably not a good day to fly. It's probably time to stay on the ground. Now, next, we're going to have fatigue. Now, this one hits hard. Fatigue hits hard. Long days at work, late nights, trying to squeeze in just one quick flight when you're wiped out. That is a recipe for mistakes, and it is a potential channel to disaster. Personally, for me, if I wouldn't trust myself to drive a car that day safely, I definitely don't belong in the cockpit. And let's be honest, if you're yawning during your run up, it looks like the airplane is not the only needed fuel. So before you fly, make sure you have some good rest. The more rested you are, the more alert you'll be, the more sharp your mind will be, and you'll be able to enjoy the experience in the flight more. Next is eating / emotion. E kind of is used interchangeably. Some people use the E differently. I do like to cover both. So flying hungry, dehydrated, nothing but coffee in the system, guilty. But it's like starting across country on half tanks. It's not a good idea. Add in the emotions like frustration, anger, sadness, and you get distractions you just don't need. And if my stomach's growling louder than the engine, I'll fix that before I fly. Yes, Timbits or donut holes like you have in the US, that counts as fuel, kind of, sort of, at least for me. And emotions are important. If you're angry, you're maybe not good to fly. And we're all human, right? You're going to feel sadness. You're going to feel, these emotions, and it's okay. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to not fly if you are not okay. And it's important that you recognize that you're not okay and make the right choices so that you are safe. And if you're traveling with friends or family, your passengers are safe. So that's the I'm safe in a nutshell. It's not about being paranoid. It's about being honest with yourself. And, as pilots, we'll happily scrap a flight if the aircraft is not ready, if there's some maintenance issues or issues in general with the plane. We forget that the pilot ourselves are part of that airworthiness equation. No flight is worth risking your life if you're not 100%. And the best pre-flight check you'll ever do is on yourself. Maybe pack a sandwich or some snacks for the flight if you're going along cross country. Always a good idea. Maybe some extra coffee. The last piece I'll mention, just to kind of tie in, we'll cover that probably in another video in more depth, but there's a sensation that I notice in life and with pilots, and that's a condition I call get there-itis. So what is get there-itis? That may be a weird term. You may have heard it before. And I heard it somewhere, I can't remember where, but it's kind of a thing that I always tend to say. I've observed this behavior and this mentality both in my daily commutes as well as from the experiences I've seen firsthand at various airfields. And what it means is you have an uncontrollable urge to go somewhere or to get somewhere, to get to your destination. Here's a possible scenario. So say you've booked a vacation for your wife and your child and yourself, and you're eager to get there. You've been planning it for weeks or months, and you can't wait to get on that beach and drink the cocktail out of the little coconut with the little umbrella on it and hear the waves and the sunshine. You can't wait to get to that destination. So because you're so eager, you do something such as ignoring poor weather. Maybe the weather is below your minimums, but gosh darn it, you booked that vacation and you really need to go. And The wife and kids are really excited to go, and you're excited to go. Nothing's going to stop you. Or perhaps you're so eager that you just rush or even skip your pre-flight inspection. Maybe you're sick. You're very sick, and you're on medication. You've got a massive cold, the dreaded man cold or woman cold, whatever the case may be in your situation. So you go up anyway. These are risks that are within our control. We can control these things. We can avoid these risks. And some risks aren't worth taking. Being safe is a huge part of it. You want to be able to get to your destination. You want to enjoy it. But if you fly in weather that you're not trained to fly in, or it's below what your personal comfort levels, your personal minimums are, it's not worth the risk. It's not worth becoming that statistic. It's not worth damaging your airplane. At the very least, they're expensive enough. You don't want to spend the money to fix something if you break it or replace your plane, whatever the case may be. A personal example. I've seen, I was at one airfield one day. I think it was a flying breakfast somewhere. And, a nice old experienced pilot comes in and, everything's good. But when he left, he didn't pre-flight inspect the plane. I didn't see any pre-flight inspection. He barely did a run-up. And he just took off without even so much as a radio call. Now, what if someone was trying to come in at the time? Someone was coming to land, no one stayed his attentions. Any number of possible, negative outcomes could have happened because he was in a rush to get out of there and get back home or wherever it was that he was going the rest of the day. And that's a bad mentality, whether you're driving to work. If you're running late, it's not worth driving like a maniac and risking your life. It's better to get a slap on the wrist at work for being late than not be able to show up at all. So, at the end of every video, I say, stay safe and embrace the chaos one knot at a time. Staying safe is something that I wish for all of you. I want you all to be healthy and safe and, be able to be here to post in the comments below and to engage in the conversation and to join the community that, I'm hoping to grow here. And your local aviation community as well. We all want the same things. We want to be able to experience this crazy hobby and adventures and be around to tell them. They say there's a lot of old pilots, a lot of bold pilots, but there's not a whole lot of old, bold pilots. Don't rush. Don't feel you need to be somewhere because you want to. Don't make mistakes. Don't make that mistake and don't become a statistic. You see it all the time with, FAA and Transport Canada accident reports. People will, because they want to go somewhere and they really feel the need to do it, they ignore the important steps. And because you miss something bad happens as a result. So, I say brace the chaos one knot at a time. What that actually means is embracing the chaos of life. Life is chaotic. It truly is. You can't, every day is a new adventure. Every day is a day to learn something new. Every day can change on a dime. You need to be able to embrace it, roll with the punches, be able to adapt. So, yeah, in this pilot journey, if your plans get canceled or delayed by a day or two because of bad weather or, plane needs maintenance or whatever the case may be, you embrace it. It's chaotic. You embrace the chaos. You deal with it, roll with it, and, live to tell the tale. And that's kind of the most important thing of all. So that's all for today, my friends. I've kind of rambled enough, I think. So till next time, stay safe and embrace the chaos one knot at a time.